Hey folks, this is Matt once again, coming at you with another video. This is sort of a video that, fixing my stuff, that pretty much what I've seen lately, ClassicRocker edition, because a lot of these are from a very nice guy in here, ClassicRocker, who sent me a bunch of movies from a while ago. I haven't watched all of them, and some of them I'm not going to talk about because maybe do like a longer review, but some I'll mention briefly. New Crime City, Los Angeles 2020 with Rick Rossovich and Stacy Keach. Very piss poor movie. Pretty much Rick Rossovich is a guy who got executed. Well, he thinks he's going to get executed, but then Stacy Keach, who's like this general guy, he's only in the film for like a total of 5 minutes or such. Gives him this mission to go in this place where Rick Rossovich meets this girl for his guide. Well, he meets a girl who becomes his guide. Travel this city where there's crime and pretty much get to this bad guy played by Rick Dean, who I remember from Counterforce 3. He was much better in that one than this one. And pretty much he has a rocket and he's going to launch it, has a virus, and it's piss poor because it's low budget. Rick Rossovich does not make a good lead. Rick Dean, he's the villain, but he doesn't seem like he's in the film that much. The ending is I think it's a very lame ending. The action scenes are nothing to run home about. Very poorly executed. I mean, he has a sort of Beyond Thunderdome scene or Stephen New York scene where him and another guy are fighting and there's a cage around them and people are watching. But it ends up with him and this bad guy having like these... It's like a blade, but it's like connected by a wire, so there's electricity. And every time they clash, like a cheap dime store, electricity flows over their body. So I guess it's supposed to imply when they cross swords, they get shot, but they don't really react to it. And Rick Rossovich beats him by just having a lame, half-ass kind of kick, and then just pressing down on the guy, so the guy... It's a lame ending because like Rick Dean is about to launch the rocket. He thinks he has the antidote or the vaccine and drinks it, but I guess his buddy switched it on him. So it's not like the hero kills the bad guy. The bad guy, in a way, accidentally kills himself. And then Stacy Keach comes because he wants, he's got a gun on him. And he's like, I don't know if he's trying to play like in the Stephen Malay ending where he screws the authorities. Because Rick Rossovich launches the rocket himself. Because, Stacy Keach and the authorities are not really that great either, but he just launched the rocket into the city with a virus. And he's like, you give me the gun, I'll give you this vaccine. And that happens, but then Stacy Keach drinks it and he gets in a helicopter and then he starts convulsing like Rick Dean does. And I'm like, so we see Rick Rossovich drink a little bit and then give it to Stacy Keach. But then Stacy Keach drinks it and then he's convulsing. So how come he's convulsing but then Rick Rossovich isn't? Like, did he really switch it when Stacy Keach was right there in front of him and our hero launched the rocket with the fucking virus? Because I thought, oh, okay, the virus isn't really on it, right? Like, he took it out or something? No. Not at all. Because him and the girl are walking away and they're talking about... It's just a lame, shitty movie. New Crime City. The Siege of Firebase Gloria actually stars Wayne Hauser and Arlie Ermy. Like, Arlie Ermy is... I would say he's the lead, and then Wayne Hauser... sort of the co-lead. And this is actually directed by a guy named Brian Trenchard Smith, which I know my friend Effrey saw a few of his films. He only liked one of them, I think Turkey Shoot, which I still haven't seen yet. But it's a Vietnam War movie, and I think it's pretty good. It's more in the realm of like a Platoon, Hammer Hill than say like a Rambo Missing in Action film. A little bit more dramatic and serious. But I thought this was pretty well done. I thought it's definitely R-rated. You see blood squibs. You see some. I mean, you even have a scene where the VC goes and is killing nurses, but then the lead nurse grabs a machine gun and kills the intruder. The soldiers find these mangled, like decomposing heads on the stick. Thought the performances were well done. I thought Arlie Ermy, it was nice to see him in this kind of role, because I only see him as the crazy guy in Full Metal Jacket or the crazy guy in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So you just see him as the lead, the hero, you could say. That was very interesting. The ending, I was fine with, because it's in tune with a lot of the more, like, Platoon. You wouldn't call it a depressing ending, but you'd call it a little bit of a sad ending. Like, you look at what happened to, certain characters. Same with Hamburger Hill. You wouldn't call it like a kind of a depressing ending, but at the same time, it's not really. It's just that's what war is, and I think Hamburger Hill, very underrated one. Same thing with here. And I thought Wayne's House definitely had like a good scene where he talks about, we find out that his kid that he had passed away, and him and Arlie Ermy have a good scene. And then once we know that's where Wayne's Hauser, what happened to him, we realize why certain things happen at the end. And I thought this was a well done sort of Vietnam, and the plot. It's a well done Vietnam War flick, one that no one really talks about. But the Siege of Firebase Gloria, I thought was actually pretty well done. And the plot is pretty much these two and their troops find this base that's pretty bare bones, and you have a lot of like dope heads there. And even the guy who's leading this base is a dope head. He's talking to them, sitting down, and then when he gets it, you find out the guy's fully naked. So they realize they gotta get him out of there, because he'll get all these people killed. It's pretty much them protecting this base while loads and loads of VC come upon the base over a few days. I forget who the actor is, but there's this one actor who played like a helicopter pilot who, I can't remember the actor's name, but I just remember I liked him. He had a certain energy to him. But I don't know, I'm being very vague on this, because the search of Firebase Gloria, I think it's worth a look. That's why I'm sort of being vague on it. That's one I definitely can say I liked. Dangerous Game, directed by Stephen Hopkins. Pretty much a bunch of kids, about 5 kids. They make a bet with one, saying, "Oh, you can break into anything, huh? You can break into any computer, huh?" So breaks into a computer at this department store, and it's like, "Oh, we don't believe you. Okay, let's go down there to confirm the bet." They open the door, they go in, and the door locks behind them, so they're stuck in this department store for the night. And then you have this guy here who is a deranged cop who's been sort of always harassing one of the kids, one of the guys. And you find out this is a guy who has a lot of trouble with his superiors. They think he's mentally not all there. So he goes there to steer the kids, but then he has like a knife he's throwing at a target, and the kid gets up and a knife goes into one of the kids. And he freaks out, and he actually tries to save the kid, and then he's about ready to call, but then that's kind of one of the interesting things about, I mean, I thought this film was okay at best, because I thought the guy who played the killer did a good job, and I thought that he wasn't one-dimensional. There was a little bit more to him. The kids, I thought they did okay, the teens. I mean, I think this is an Australian film. Some capable direction by Stephen Hopkins. You see some cool stuff, mainly in the third act. Like, for example, the killer chasing one of the kids on a motorcycle around the department store. Or there's actually guns at the department store, so you have a little bit of gunplay there. I think the thing of it is, though, with this film, I think, one, it takes too long for the film to get going. It's probably about the 50-minute mark when the shit hits the fan. And it just, to me, it's way too long of a build-up for it. And then the ending is kind of lame, because they And don't go looking for the body count. It's only one person who dies, and that's the kid he accidentally killed. And then the ending, they pretty much... One thing they get the bad guy. They're like, oh, we gotta go back, he has the keys. No, let's just shoot out this door here, or whatever the hell it was. And pretty much you think the killer is going to kill himself, and the other, was it 4 kids, are shooting, not really a door, but like a rail. I don't know, one of those doors that has like the rails and stuff. They shoot the shit out of it. They're able to escape. The cops are there. And then you find out that the killer didn't kill himself. He snuck out somehow. I don't know how, but somehow he snuck out. And the killer's still out there. The deranged cop's still out there. I thought it was a lame ending. Kind of anticlimactic ending for me. And it's too much of a build-up. Just goes on too long. I mean, it's definitely no Predator 2 or Judgment Night or such that Stephen Hopkins did. But I will say, I thought it was okay time waster because I didn't mind the guy who played the killer, and I thought in the third act he had some cool stuff, like on a rooftop where one of the kids gets like a blowtorch facing off against the killer, or there's a little, not really chase, but stalk sequence on a ledge, and then like a kid jumps, sort of almost does like a Die Hard where jumps and crashes through the window. Again, you did a couple of decent things in the third act. But if you look at the trailer that interests you, go ahead, but don't expect wall-to-wall action, and don't expect wall-to-wall kills, and don't expect... And again, I thought it was kind of a lame ending. It was there as a time waster. Timestalkers, I didn't really care for. Stars William Devane. You have Klaus Kinski. Pretty much William Devane's the guy whose wife and kid are killed at the beginning of the film. And then it's like a year later. And it's a year later and the guy seems perfectly fine. Like, even though his wife and kid died a year before, he seems perfectly fine and chipper. And he's the guy who lights the gunslinger history. He even has like a little post near his house where he practices, drawing and shooting. And a buddy of his, which I guess works at the military, played by John Ratzenberger from Cheers. They go to this auction, and William Devane gets this trunk. And the annoying thing that happens here, from at least to me, first off, it's very cheap. This is a made-for-TV movie, so you can tell it's cheap. And anytime, like during the auction, like when the auctioneer talks about something, they'll do this, like, you see light go across the screen, and it's... You know the noise of a Star Wars blaster? And like you see like a little explosion? Like, think of the noise of Star Wars, a blaster, pew! And then you see like a little explosion go across screen, pew! And then it'll come from back in the day to where that object was being used to... Whenever it cuts, the scene transitions got pretty annoying when they did that. Because you see what it was used back in the day, and that's where we're introduced Klaus Kinski, and then Will Devane finds his photograph. He's like, wait a minute, this photograph, which is Klaus Kinski, he's got 357 Magnum. That's not, there's no way, because 357 Magnum, Will Devane says, was like 1980 or something like that. That's what he says. Meets up with this woman. Pretty much you find out that the woman that William Devane meets up with, and then Klaus Kinski, they are from the future. And Klaus Kinski's gone back in the past to change history, kill someone whose lineage is messing with him and the time he's at. So it kind of like reminds me of a boring version of Trancers. Maybe because I don't care for the Western motif. Maybe because I just thought this was a slow-paced, boring, uneventful movie. I like William Devane as an actor. I know I saw the Rolling Thunder, but that was a long time ago, so I don't remember much of it. But yeah, this was sort of I thought, a pretty boring film. Not for me. I don't want to go too much into this. Counterforce. Another lame, low-budget action film. Trying to be like a even lower budget version of Delta Force. Even had Robert Forster as a bad guy. In a world of danger, there's only one solution. You could tell also, especially by the ending of the film, they thought they were going to make this a series of movies. This Mexican actor who I guess worked with John Wayne, he's the lead guy. And then you have Andrew Stevens as a martial arts expert. You got Isaac Hayes as a marksman. And Isaac Hayes really doesn't have much to do, even though he's in the film. But it's not like he does much. I think this guy with the glasses, he is the helicopter pilot. And pretty much them protecting this guy named, played by Luis Jordan, who's in Swamp Thing, from the bad guys, especially this hitman played by Hugo Stiglitz, I believe, is the actor's name. And pretty much they're protecting the guy, and then someone tries to kill him, and then they shoot. Rinse, repeat, and again, the action is very uneventful, by the numbers. The only thing worth mentioning is, well, a few things. One, in this film, and this Hugo Stiglitz guy, he takes off his disguise because he uses a lot of disguises. When he takes off his disguise, he has a fucking Iron Maiden t-shirt for some reason. And also, him and someone else, like someone pretends to be a patient wrapped up in a wheelchair, and then the bad guy just pushes the wheelchair and gets away, and then the good guys shoot the guy in the wheelchair, and the wheelchair flies off the window and off the building. It's not even as good or as funny as it sounds. And they don't even give Robert Forster. Robert Forster is a bad guy, but he's kind of like the bad guy that he's in the background, and oh, he got away for the sequel. Counterforce is not worth talking about. Another one not worth talking about, Cyberzone, with Mark Senior and Matthias Hughes. Pretty much they try to be like an ultra low budget version of Blade Runner and didn't work. Like Mark Senior's character goes after droids, and he's going after these 4 pleasure droids, pretty much hooker droids. Ones that Matthias Hughes' character stole because he's going to sell them. Pretty much Mark Senior is with this girl. They go to A to B to C. Some low-budget half-ass action scene happens, and they go A, B, and C, which pretty much ends with Mark Senior teaming up with Matthias Hughes, because Matthias Hughes, he lost one, and he only has 3 of them, and they gave him a little bit of money, and he's a little bit pissed off. Then Mark Senior sees Matthias Hughes and says, I'll give you more money. They go in. The girl pretends to be the 4th missing pleasure droid, android. And pretty much Mark Senior and Matthias Hughes, Matthias Hughes doesn't really do much. He's not in the film that much. It ends with those two get into like a quick draw with the guy, and the guy shoots Matthias Hughes, and Mark Senior shoots the bad guy. And Mark Senior looks like he's bored out of his mind. Like Matthias Hughes is dying, and Mark Senior's like, yeah, I'll be okay. Yeah, sure. Like literally, he's bored. He's like, I don't care if you're dying, whatever. Like that's his reaction to it. Just Cyberzone, and you see certain scenes and you tell they took footage from like Battle Beyond the Stars or something like that. This is just a lame, low budget, boring. You see a lot of tits. That's pretty much it. Biggles' Adventures in Time. I think this is Peter Cushing's last film that he did before he died. I guess Biggles is a character that was in a lot of fiction overseas. But then when they made the film, Back to the Future was really popular. So they put like a time travel aspect into it. So you have this guy who's an American in present day who goes back in time to this guy because they are time twins. So when one is in trouble, the other is zapped into the other person's time to help them. Why they're time twins, they never explain. They just because. Not even a bullshit explanation, a crystal, or they found a time machine, or no, they're just time twins just because. And this guy, who I think he was the Mr. Fantastic in the Fantastic Four movie that never got released, I swear, most of the time when shit happens, he has no reaction to it. Like, even when he first gets pulled back into, I think it's the First World War, where Biggles is at, he reacts like someone messed up his order at fucking McDonald's or something. Just, oh, let me give you my car. I mean, like, dude, do you have like an actual reaction to what's going on? I mean, you got some good stunt work of flying sequences. You know, a guy hanging off a helicopter. A helicopter gets pulled into World War I. Although in one scene there's a chase scene, and it's supposed to be like 1917 or whatever, but in the background, like far background, you see telephone poles, telephone wires. But annoying soundtrack as well, and shitty songs like, "Do you want to be a hero, hero, hero?" Like, no, I don't. Shut the fuck up. It's just, watch the trailer, and if it interests you, good luck. If not, you can pass. Firehawk, this one I might save for a longer review. I did like it, actually. Actually, this is a film I did like. Martin Cove, though, I'll say right now, well, I'll get to that whenever I talk about this. Spoiler warnings. This is another one that I'll talk more about because I did enjoy it. So that's the short review. I enjoyed it. Beyond the Law. Not an action film. I know that it kind of advertises an action film, but it's not. But I was fine with it because I thought they did a pretty good job with the flick. Legion. This film is a piece of shit. Just a true piece of shit. I think this girl is the girl who was in Hellraiser 3. And then you have Rich Springfield in it as well. You have Trevor Goddard, who was Kano in Mortal Kombat. You have Corey Feldman in the film. This is a very boring film. All it is, a group of people who are prisoners. They are sent on this mission. If they succeed, they get pardons. And pretty much it's a bunch of people going around this, what looks like an abandoned factory. And then once in a while, a point of view shot of orange filter attacks them. And then sometimes they find them with the blood on their neck. And they get picked off one by one. And then you find out that this was a test for this creature called Legion. I'll save you the trouble. You find out that actually it's Rich Springfield's character, who's like this, seems like this wimpy guy. You find out it's his character. It's his character, and then you never see the creature until the very end. And even then, I don't know if you can barely see. That's kind of what his face looks like. And everyone, like Trevor Goddard, he dies because he's a guy who takes drugs, and then they find him with like a syringe in his neck. Corey Feldman dies because he's sort of the nerdy tech guy. He survives till like the third act. Pretty much he's scared. Someone comes after him. Your two last people find him, and he's like, "It was a beast. It was a man." It was pretty much telling them nothing, and then dies, has a wound on his neck. This film, there's nothing to it. There's nothing to it. It's just a bunch of people walking around. They get killed one by one, and even when they get killed, it's just point of view shot and with orange filter. That's it. And then these two, I thought, killed the creature pretty easily. And then the military comes in, and then they kill some of the military, and then these two walk off and end the movie. Really, that's all there is to Legion. That's all there is. There's nothing else to it. And those are the ones I've seen so far. I mean, like Firehawk, I'll probably talk a little bit about that more, as well as Beyond the Law. So, like, ones I liked out of this, I would say Beyond the Law, Firehawk. I liked The Siege of Firebase Gloria, this one. And Dangerous Game was an okay time waster, but Timestalkers I didn't care for. Counterforce I thought sucked. Cyberzone I thought really sucked. Biggles Adventures in Time. I don't know if you want to see Peter Cushing's last role as a guy who knew Biggles back in the day, which this doesn't make sense because he knew Biggles back in the day, and he says he was his commanding officer, but yet it was like 1980 some. So if you do the math, that would mean that Peter Cushing's character would be about 100 years old. But Peter Cushing wasn't 100 years old. I mean, anyway, Biggles has a couple of decent stunt work, but that's pretty much it. And the guy who played Biggles, I don't think he was bad. And it was, Peter Cushing. It was nice to see Peter Cushing. Legion was absolutely shitty. This was Cyberzone. Like I said, Beyond the Law was good. Firehawk, I actually liked. Counterforce, Timestalkers was boring. New Crime City was a piece of shit. Dangerous Game was there. Siege of Firebase Gloria was pretty good as well. So those other ones I'll probably give a longer review. Firehawk or Beyond the Law. And those are ones I've seen so far. And I'm not sure which of these I'll actually do reviews on, like these other ones. But we'll see. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.